right, I am Pops. Welcome. Saturday morning cartoons is here. It's exciting. It's something I look forward to every week with you guys. I'm trying to find ways to include more conversation about cartoons. It's been a fun week. I had some time that broke away, kind of was short notice, but I was able to ultimately get the grandkids this last week, and it was fun to um, get to expose them to some vintage shows, vintage cartoons, and those types of things. So here, X-Men animated series, we're going to continue. This is actually the 12th and 13th, the finale of season 2. It's called Reunion, part 1 and part 2. And this is the culmination of this Savage Land story that has been teased and clipped of several episodes to now. And I'm not really been a big fan of how they handled that, because I think it's really more like a manipulated plot ploy to keep Professor Xavier and really Magneto, but really Xavier out of the mix for some of these different conflicts and battles. But we do finally get the Savage Land, and you get to see these Skyriders that attack them, and they have to face the mutates again, and they're captured by a character called Vertigo. And then ultimately you have the Blackbird. The Blackbird's playing a recording. Jean is playing a recording of Morph, and it says, "I need you now, Wolverine." So there's like, all right, so if you don't remember, Mr. Sinister had brainwashed Morph, and Mr. Sinister had to use him as bait, figure out how to manipulate him. Of course, the X-Men come out on top, and now they're searching for Morph, who they find at a carnival. He's playing like a Jekyll and Hyde shape-shifting routine, which is kind of fun. And he tries to warn the X-Men this is a trap. They have the professor. Of course, Mr. Sinister is really leading the mutates, and of course, they get captured. Now, we get Kazar. Now, Kazar is the Marvel equivalent to like a Tarzan character, right? And he sees the scene of Magneto and Charles getting captured. He's an English-speaking Tarzan, basically, and there's a Triceratops stampede that goes towards the mutates, and you basically get at least allusions to the backstory here with Kazar hating Magneto, not trusting them. It's a very reluctant reliance, but he explains that they've taken Shauna, his significant other. She's female Tarzan, basically. And we cut back to Sinister. The X-Men are all prisoners. There's a little bit of a fight. Wolverine actually gets a little hit in there. Cyclops runs at it, and Ruckus drops them all because there's this shout that he does. And they were kind of caught off guard by it. And when he wakes up, when they all wake up, Wolverine has another fight in him. And you end up that Morph is disguised as Jean. And you end up with this big battle there. And of course, ultimately, Sinister escapes with Jean. And then you have Kazar escaping the other group, and it all kind of culminates with how Mr. Sinister has this plan to control the mutants, that your very essence is what he wants. He wants to be able to do all of this. And Morph is like trying to fight this, like his brain control stuff's not really working consistently. But then he says, it's better to die an X-Men than to live as your slave. And I thought to myself, oh, there it is. There it is. That was so good. It was a lot of superficial action that was finally culminating after several little teases with Magneto and Xavier and all the different things that were happening. When we got to that moment, it got real. It gets real, right? Because then you start to understand where some of the characters are. Sauron is in play because he's basically the giant pterodactyl who has like a mind control thing that he can do, where he's talking about, look at me and obey. Resistance is futile, and he's attacking Xavier. Xavier is actually screaming. And I will say, it was really good to showcase Sauron at least being able to take on someone like Xavier, because Xavier is so powerful. And then ultimately, Xavier is sort of like brainwashed enough to call Sinister Master. Now, the message lures the other X-Men there as well. So back at the mansion, you have all that. And Wolverine and Cyclops are going to show up. They know they're headed into a trap now. They all know what's going on. They know Sinister is there. They know where, this is not going to go well. And then we get into the second part of this, is where once they arrive in the Savage Lands, remember, when they're in the Savage Land, they don't actually have their powers, right? The mutates still have theirs, by the way. I don't think that's ever explained on why certain ones do and certain ones don't, but I'm not going to get into those kind of semantics because it is a 1990s cartoon after all. I don't think it wasn't terrible, but there are little plot points along the way with all of these shows where you're like, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but again, it's for kids. And you get to see a dinosaur that attacks them when a T-Rex eats, like totally like lifted right out of like the Jurassic Park world, by the way. Totally cool. And Kazar, of course, interacts with Wolverine, and he's like, you have one of the craziest lines, by the way. Wolverine has lines, and I'm like, what on earth? So Kazar intercepts Wolverine and thinks he's kind of like you know, an enemy or something. He says, I'm down this fern bar to rip him a new navel. And I'm like, what the heck is Wolverine saying? So when they're attacked again and they win out, Kazar and him are there and they're getting ready to get on a pterodactyl. He talks about, does this leather chicken have seatbelts? I wrote those down because it made me laugh. I should find a way to clip those because that's really kind of funny to me. There's some good Cyclops and Sinister banter, and that's where you get Sinister really getting more into his plan. Like he's really elaborating on the fact that this is his gift to the world. It's imprinting their code to increase their powers, right? They become very powerful. And Magneto is the first victim who falls like a transfer of power from Magneto to Vertigo. And then she attacks the X-Men. And Rogue's like, I don't know how to fight without my powers. Well, Gambit kisses her. So Rogue is taken, and you have sort of like this interesting thing before Kazar and Wolverine arrive. And then you have Sinister and Wolverine. So lots of fisticuffs, lots of action, lots of things happening. Shauna is trying to distract the guards so Kazar can attack. I mean, they get free. And Ruckus is still very difficult, but once Wolverine gets close enough and everyone's freed, Xavier and Morph are able to destroy the machine, and the X-Men get their powers, and boom, cue the music. The fight is on. It's so good. It's what you're all wanting. It's what we all want. Watch that sequence over again. You're going to have a good time. Magneto attacking Vertigo. Sinister trying to jump in, but Scott takes on him. Poor Morph is still caught where he's kind of controlled, but not. Cyclops is basically like blast to blast, right, with Sinister. But Xavier finally reaches out to Morph through his mind, and we're able to save Morph enough because he turns on Sinister, and then everything kind of happens before Sauron is like trying to set an explosion so everybody can get away, and then you have the monologuing that helps, and basically the typical tension you expect from Xavier and Magneto, right? Join me in my work. And he's like, no, it's not going to happen. And Sauron is kind of left in control of the Savage Land, at least we guess, right? And Sinister isn't really gone. Like you have a little tease there where you think he's gone, but he's really not. It is an interesting way to wrap up the season. I will say it's really not, even though it's really good and it is a nice payoff to the Savage Land stuff. It's not really among my favorite of the X-Men episodes. It's something that I do enjoy. Really, obviously, you're loving the fact that they spent so much time, an episode and probably an episode and a half, building up to this big battle, which is always fun. You love seeing them use their powers. You love the music playing. I that's what I love. So anyway, that's my take on it. I know a lot of you love Savage Land. You love the X-Men animated series. Love to hear your thoughts. But as we've been doing with the Saturday morning cartoons, got a little tease here for you guys. Give you a little commercials, give you a little fun, have a little intermission, some commercials and things like that. So hopefully you enjoy that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Pops.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Kool-Aid Wacky Warehouse has returned with great new stuff. Sports gear, where we'll very happily equip you wackily. And you can taste our pre-hysterical new Kool-Aid flavor Purple Source Rex in the wackiest store in the world.
Here's some more fun from Kool-Aid. Free roller skating now through December 31st. The wacky points you find on the back of Kool-Aid soft drinks is all it takes. When you save 15 points and come to a participating skating center, your friend skates for free. With Kool-Aid wacky points, the good times really get rolling.
Computers are coming your way.
Computers? For paying bills?
Mothers, too.
Bah, humbug.
Wow. Let me try it.
Cap'n Crunch cereal.
Straight ahead!
Something is up, and it looks like...
Soggy!
Let's take off with that tasty sweet crunch.
Captain Crunch, they pinched breakfast.
those soggies are out of line. Good thing I'm not. What goes up must come down.
Yay!
Cap'n Crunch cereal is a tasty part of a complete breakfast.
Phooey, flies for the birds.
Who you got to call for all new excitement? Slimer and the real Ghostbusters. They're busting their way in next.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not playing